back to the 5 O'Clock Sweats podcast. You may notice that today there are only two of us. My friend Derick and I, and no Chris.
Yeah.
He's no longer with us.
That's not it.
I'm kidding. He is under the weather and literally lost his voice, so he is useless to a podcast format. So we're not. He's just not gonna be in this one. So Derick and I figured, well, you know, the old saying goes, the show must go on. So Derick and I figured we'd take this opportunity to talk about something that's near and dear to our hearts and not so near and dear to Chris's. And that would be anime.
Yes. Anime.
The dweeb episode.
The weeb episode.
Oh, the dweeb
This is
episode.
like our first doubles match, I guess we're calling it.
This is exciting. I'm excited.
Yeah, well, we'll see how this goes. I mean, just a peek behind the curtain. We normally keep, you know, a few of the episodes in the reserve exactly for cases like this. But two of us were just sick, like 4 consecutive weeks. So
yeah,
that bank is depleted, and here we are.
The stars have not aligned recently, but and I will admit I'm a little congested. If I sound a little under the weather, that's why. But you know, I'm a trooper. Yeah. Unlike Chris, I'm gonna fight through the sickness. I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
And I'm just sick.
Sick as fuck.
Right.
Anyway, so yeah.
Anime.
Anime.
I guess I can start off with telling you my kind of story with anime.
Oh, you have a anime character backstory? Like a what's
Glad you asked. So I think I've brought this up on the podcast before, but I have an older sister. She's 4 years older than I am. And, you know, as any younger sibling probably does, they want to do the things that their older sibling is doing, at least for a time. Mm-hmm. And for a while, my sister was like really into Japanese manga. And with that territory, that also, you know, bled into Japanese anime. So I guess around the early 2000s, somewhere in there, I was, you know, mostly consuming manga, not a ton of anime, but I was aware of it. Back then, there was some anime on Toonami, which I know we'll hit later on the episode. There was a lot of DBZ on there, like I'd catch episodes of Bleach, some episodes of Inuyasha. But for the most part, I was a Dragon Ball Z boy growing up.
Oh, yeah. Same here, obviously. I mean, I have the Starry Night version of the epic Kamehameha Gallic Gun beam struggle between Vegeta and Goku. And then above that is a Demon Slayer Abbey Road Beatles album cover adaptation. So, anyway, yeah. I was a DBZ fan growing up, too. And speaking of, that was probably what I would call my first anime that I really got to. That was kind of what exposed me to the medium, was just catching random episodes of DBZ on Toonami back in the day. I believe when we were at the time when we were at that age watching, it was I remember the Buu saga being on a lot of Majin Buu, some Vegito, some Super Saiyan 3 action going on. And
I feel like I associate that with like the Cell saga.
Okay. So maybe you started a little earlier than me.
Once they came back on.
Yeah, eventually, and then when they finished the Buu saga, I guess they started over again, and they went to the Saiyan arc and the Frieza saga, and that's when I really started watching like daily.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It was just like funny going from like a show like the cartoons that we grew up watching, and we have maybe talked about in a previous episode, like SpongeBob and like Rugrats and like Codename Kids Next Door. And I guess Teen Titans was like kind of the precursor to, and it means technically I don't know if you consider that anime, but it's like inspired at least.
Yeah, I don't know who's all involved in that project, so I can't say for sure, but yeah, I see what you mean.
Yeah, but watching a show like Dragon Ball Z is so action packed, and like my young brain was like just firing on all cylinders. I'm like, oh my god, this is amazing looking. Like, look at this animation, look at the colors, look at the muscles,
Look at the muscles,
the punches and the powers and everything, and the flying. It was just like, I don't know.
I mean,
awesome.
Come on, what 10-year-old kid wasn't, in their backyard trying not to like power up or like shoot ki blasts or charge up their own Kamehameha?
Yeah, There's do you remember the episode where Gohan is trying to teach Videl how to fly?
Yeah.
Or like fly and then also like create a ki blast in her hand, and he's like going step by step, like you gotta like take a deep breath, focus your energy into a single point. Like every kid was like sitting down, like listening to his instructions and trying to copy what he was saying. And
oh yeah,
a lot of sad
because he taught Videl,
children.
Normal human, how to do that, and I'm normal human.
Clearly, clearly too normal, I guess. But just a very inspirational growing up.
Yeah, and for a while, just to continue that story, for a while I kind of dropped off the old anime train. Eventually we stopped receiving Shonen Jump, I guess in 2006. I recently found a couple of those issues that we had sitting in our shed. And I guess from 2006 on, I really didn't watch any anime, didn't read any manga. And I knew that once I started to get back into it, it would just suck me in. So I absolutely made like a conscious effort not to start watching anime.
And then fast forward to 2022, I believe, January of 2022. Ryan comes over and he's like, we should watch Attack on Titan. It's this crazy anime that I've been watching. It's so good, it's going to go down in the history books as one of the best anime ever. And even though I knew what would happen to me and my life and my time, I said yes. And here we are doing an entire episode about it. So I'm not going to apologize then. I feel like I've done you a solid. I did you a favor.
Yeah, it's been a it's been a time.
Yeah, I'd say you've branched out, to say the least.
Oh yeah.
Because what? So we watched. What was our timeline with Attack on Titan? So we watched all of it together, and well, for the most part, I would say we watched like 85% of it together.
Yeah, we caught up to live at some point, right?
Yeah,
we season 4 that would have been.
Yeah, we watched season 4, the first part 1 of season 4. But we watched like all of season 3. I feel like in a day. It was almost a day. We watched all of season 3.
From the start of season 1 to the end of season 3. I think took us 2 or 3 weekends. It was nuts.
Yeah, I was impressed by the level of binge watching we were doing, but the show just lends itself to binge watching. It's just it's like animes have that way of drawing you in at the end of each episode. Like there's always a cliffhanger. Like every time. It doesn't matter what anime it is. Even like the longer shows with hundreds of episodes, they just have a way of dragging you in.
And it pisses me off because it works every time.
Oh yeah, no, they get me every time too. But Attack on Titan might be like the top dog at doing that.
Yeah. So what did we go through? We went through Attack on Titan together.
Attack on Titan.
Then we went through.
Spy
I guess
Family?
the first season of Jujutsu Kaisen we went through together.
Yeah,
and then we went through a lot of Chainsaw Man together.
Yeah, but I think we watched that mostly.
Spy Family together.
Yeah, Spy Family, and then Demon Slayer's in there too.
Oh shoot! Yeah, how can I forget? My anime list says I have 120 completed entries since the beginning of 2002. So I guess it's not really,
yeah, and
not really surprising that I
explain to everybody like entry is an episode. It's
so an entry is a kind of discrete unit. So any season of a show counts as an entry. So for instance, 1, 2, 3. No, that's probably a bad example. But Cowboy Bebop, that's a good example. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 entries in here. One for the regular running season of the show. One for one of the specials. Another for another of the specials, and another for the movie. So that's 4 entries for Cowboy Bebop alone. So 120 is a little inflated, but it's still nuts.
Because an average season of like a standard anime show is like 20 to 30 episodes long.
Yeah, I think the ones that I'm watching, they look like they're either 12 or 13 episodes or 24 episodes. So that's about the pocket that I'm sitting in right now.
That's all. I'm proud of you. I gotta say I'm proud of you for committing to watching so many of these shows, like the Studio Ghibli binge you went on recently. Like that's super impressive. I know watching movies isn't the easiest thing for you to do, so the fact that you're able to get through all those is just amazing. Props to you. And the amount you did it in like so little time too.
Oh yeah, I was just quietly grinding away at that one.
Yeah, I love it. That's amazing. And then you finished Cowboy Bebop pretty quickly as well.
Yeah, that was, I don't know, maybe 2 weeks. And
yeah,
for the most part,
good.
I'm watching while I'm eating or, after dinner before I go to bed. Those are my 2 main viewing times.
Yeah, it's about the same for me as well. It's just hard for it. It's hard for me because like I'm like always at a crossroads. Like if after I'm done work and exercise or whatever, it's like, do I want to play video games or do I want to watch anime/television? And there was a time where I was always like choosing video games because I don't know, I just felt like competing in some capacity. But now I'm finding myself being drawn more to the TV, to anime specifically.
Well, it's getting colder out. Maybe you just want to cozy up on the couch and
I think my competitive drive's also going down a little bit too. I'm tired of getting shit on by kids online. So
yeah, that's what I was gonna say. It's an easy decision when I'm shit at every game I play.
Yeah, I can just sit on the couch and be in the zone and just relax and let this probably amazing story in this whatever anime show I'm watching unfold.
So yeah. I guess speaking of which, we have a bullet point here of just favorite animes. Do you have any to weigh in on here?
Yeah, well, I mean, my DBZ for me is towards the top of my list. It's not my favorite anime. In fact, it may not even be my second favorite anime. But it's just like when I think of anime, like Dragon Ball Z is the first anime I think of because it encapsulates everything great about anime. Mm-hmm. Like the humor, the over the top action, the sick animation, the amazing voice acting, and so in some ways the story in Dragon Ball Z is not always the best or the most complicated, but it has its moments, a la the Android Saga and the Cell Saga, fantastic. But on top of that, it's just been such an it's funny just watching other animes, having watched DBZ first and seeing just the trickle down effect of the inspiration that Dragon Ball Z has provided to other animes, like seeing fights. Like there have been scenes in other animes, like other fight sequences that have been literally adapted 1-to-1 from a Dragon Ball Z fight. Mm-hmm. And certain anime styles, like I did watch a few of the more recent One Piece episodes because of all the hype around Gear 5 and all that, and it's just funny because I know it's a shonen based anime, but like it's funny to see like hearing all the sound effects from Dragon Ball Z in a different show. Like it's funny because like the punch sound effects, like even like the instant instant transmission sound effect. Like
also
all those...
another thing I tried to do when I was younger, and also maybe yesterday.
I can envision my room. I should be able to teleport to my room from here.
I wish.
But yeah, I don't know. It's just such a iconic anime, and I'm happy that it's still relevant. It's still coming out with new content. The two most recent movies have been really good. And then they literally just announced a brand new original anime coming out next year, which is exciting. It's also been a little controversial.
Yeah. We talked about this a little bit, didn't we?
A little bit, yeah. So the internet is very split on this, and it was split when it got leaked like a few weeks ago. Like, people were like, oh, well, they're gonna turn Goku into a child again, and they're going to have him go on adventures with Supreme Kai and other characters that are also children. And my brain's like, Dragon Ball GT? Like, hasn't this been done already? But lo and behold, the trailer came out this week, and it is exactly that. And listen, the internet's not happy because the manga is currently got like 3 arcs since the Dragon Ball Super anime ended. Like, there's been 3 additional arcs in the manga, and like the first, like, it can be adapted. It's been a couple of years, like, it's ready to be adapted to the anime, and I'm sure they're going to do it eventually, but it's not happening now. And I just think people were disappointed because the manga arcs have been well received and pretty popular, so people were excited to see it in anime form. But we have to wait a little longer.
Chibi Goku.
Yeah, it should be Chibi everybody. They showed Hercule, and he doesn't have any facial hair. You get little Hercule.
Great.
Listen, the trailer actually looks good. I think the animation looks fantastic. I like the character designs, and Toriyama's heavily involved with this, which is nice to see. So fans are excited about that. I just think fans were expecting something else, and they didn't get what they wanted, so they're upset. But the anime could be fantastic. Like, it could be a lot of fun. It seems like it's going back to like the Dragon Ball days, where it's more of like an adventure and lighthearted sort of story. But you're getting like basically post Majin, like between, like, I don't know when it takes place exactly, but it seems like it's around the Majin Buu saga. I don't know if it's in the middle of it or before it or after, but you're getting like Goku and Vegeta, like almost the height of their powers in the original Dragon Ball Z anime, and just their kids. Like, you're gonna see, there's gonna be some epic fights. Like, the Dragon Ball Z fans who were just there for the muscles and the fights are gonna eat. Like, they're gonna get their time in the limelight. So I don't know. I'm not gonna shit on the anime on that trailer or anything. Like, I'm excited to watch it. I'll be there day one watching it. I know you will be too. Probably. We'll probably watch it together.
Yeah, it sounds right.
Yeah. So we could talk about Dragon Ball Z for hours. But we will not do that because there's other amazing animes. So my favorite. Well, let's go to you, because I feel like I was just talking for like 5 minutes. So let's jump to you. Let's see what is your favorite anime currently, if you had to name one right now.
Yeah, so I guess given the brief history that I've given you, starting with Dragon Ball Z, consuming all of that universe up until GT mostly, taking a long break, like a 15-year break. And then, coming in, watching a lot of Attack on Titan, watching Jujutsu Kaisen, watching, what else did we watch? I don't know. I've already forgotten what the conversation we had earlier. I feel like I now gravitate a lot towards the more wholesome anime.
Slice of life?
It's so... I guess the bridge between those two worlds is Demon Slayer, right? It's got really great animation and like a lot of good like action sequences, and I mean I don't know what else to say about that there. But on the other side is the whole like wholesomeness of it, like Tanjiro and Nezuko, like their whole story
It's so cute.
I just love when they're not in like battle mode.
Yeah, no, it's cute. I agree with you. Like I think people complain about the pacing of that show sometimes, because it's like, oh, like, where are the fights? Why are they talking? Why are they taking all this time to just talk? Like they call, like, the episodes can come off as boring, but they're character building, and they help build the relationships, and it's like, if you care about the characters, like, you should want to see this. Like, they've gone through hell and back. Like, you want them to have those moments of happiness and love and whatnot. But yeah, so I agree with you.
People
I
say
love
that
those parts.
about every show, though, right?
That's true. Yeah, because
they just want like all content and like like nothing that's even remotely close to filler.
Exactly.
Right? They just want content.
Yeah,
and I don't know.
Like there's been so many scenes. Like the one, I think one of the other complaints about that show is like, oh, they cry all the time. Like, listen, there's a lot of crying
all the time.
Yeah.
Shut your mouth.
This was made for me.
But on the other side of that bridge of like the great action and the wholesome part is the wholesome part. And there are three that I kind of wanted to mention. One is Spy Family, which was one that we watched, half of season 1 together, and then I think they took a break, and then we just watched the rest of the season. They're currently airing season 2 as we're recording. And that's a big one for me. That's another one that I think introduced me to the idea of like, oh, this can be wholesome. Like, it can just be fun to watch. Without, having to keep track of people's power levels and like who's loyal to who and who's going to backstab who, like I do in Hunter x Hunter. And then there's one that I recently started and finished since the recording of our last episode, KonoSuba. So that's another one that's really just like a straight up and down like isekai comedy.
Okay.
And I didn't think I would enjoy it as much as I did, but I got through that in, I guess that was a week and a half or something like that. And that's one that I think season 3 should be coming out next year at some point, and I cannot wait.
So what's the vibe on that one? Like, you said it's a comedy? But...
Yeah, so a shut-in NEET, so he doesn't do anything, he doesn't go to school, he's not in education or employment or in training. He just sits inside and plays video games, basically. He dies, episode 1, and then he gets sent to another world. And essentially he's like a level 1 adventurer. And hijinks ensues. I feel like that's the basic premise of it.
The anime pilots are so like interesting because they'll do crazy shit like that. Like they'll kill the main character or something in the first episode.
It's very good. Highly recommend that one.
Okay, I'll check it out.
It's only a season and a movie, and then 2 seasons, a movie, and then they just had a spin-off this year actually, before season 3 comes out next year. But I think the one that takes the cake is one that I've talked to you about a lot. HoriMiya. I don't know how or why. Okay, well maybe I do know how or why, but I really like HoriMiya. How is this described? What genre is this? It's like a romance.
It's slice of life. It all falls under slice of life, but it's like a romance comedy slice of life show.
It's very good. It makes sense that I would like this, right? And in the movie episode, I brought up Walk to Remember in the Notebook.
Yeah. No, this is very on brand for you. I brought up The Princess
Bride at some other point. Like, I just like soft boy stuff, I guess. And this was right down my alley. I think I don't remember what I was at my parents' for, but that entire weekend I just ripped through the first season of it. I'm like, oh man. And then that was, I think, right when the second season premiered. So I went through all of that, and then I was sad, and I brought it up in an episode, and then I found a way to watch those 6 OVAs that were released 10 years ago, or whenever the hell that came out, and it just makes me happy.
That's good.
It's my new comfort show.
Okay. That's all. Yeah, I as I mentioned to you, I'm currently 2 or 3 episodes in, and I was trying to watch with my girlfriend, but our schedules aren't really aligning, and I kind of just want to watch it, so I may just watch it and not tell her.
Do it.
But listen, I'm a big softie too. Like I like those romantic animes. I like those sappy movies and whatnot. Like 5 Days of Summer is one of my favorite movies of all time.
Correct.
Like I love a good sitcom and like a wholesome sitcom and whatnot. So I too dabble in animes of that ilk, and I thoroughly enjoy them.
Do you have any of note there?
Yes, I do. There's a couple, but I'll name one in particular. It's called Doint. Doint. Wow. Don't Toy With Me, Miss Nagatoro, which I think I may have tried to show you an episode of this. I forget.
Doesn't sound familiar.
It's a pretty standard, like, 2 kids in high school are like completely different personalities and different friend groups and whatnot, and they have a connection, and it's just like kind of a cute back and forth. Like, they like each other, but they try not to look like they like each other or give it away that they like each other, but it's always like you get in their heads and you know they like each other a lot, and the whole show you're like, just kiss.
Oh, God.
Just admit that you like each other. That's like the whole. That
was aggressive. Just kiss.
That's just tell them how you feel. Like, that's the whole tension of the show. That's what keeps you locked in. Like as the show progresses, they like there's events that happen that get them closer and closer together. You're like, oh, it's gonna happen. And some shows, like, they lead you to that point and it doesn't deliver, and then some shows do.
Yeah. Sometimes that pisses me off.
Yeah.
So something that we watched together as well was Your Lie in April.
Oh, yeah. I don't know if I should say I'm sorry for recommending that to you or not.
I don't want to spoil anything for the audience, but there is a relationship in that show that I really wanted to work out, and in the end, it does not.
It's putting it lightly.
Not that one, the other one.
Oh.
Anyway. That part was a little bit annoying because the one girl would just never tell the dude how she felt. And I'm like, but this would fix everything. Well, not everything. Definitely not everything in that one.
Yeah, no.
But a similar one to that pissed me off that I watched, it must have been last week. Oh, God, I go through these things so quickly. Toradora. Toradora was like that. That was a single season run, 24 episodes. And I think the first half I was okay with. But then the second half, I was like, just tell them. Just tell them.
But I love those shows. Like, I will literally watch like several of those types of animes, and it's the same formula, but I get drawn in every fucking time. I love it. I love it.
Toradora is for you next then.
I'll add it to the list. HoriMiya and Toradora. One other show that I watched like this was called Love is War, which I may have recommended to you. It was recommended to me by a friend last year, and I watched, I think it's 3 seasons. I finished it. And the whole premise of the show is exactly what we're talking about. It is, they are purposefully they're trying not to expose their feelings to one another. Like, that is the whole premise of the show, is like you're in their heads and they're like, it's literally the whole, like, it's a battle, basically. It's a war of love. Like, who's gonna cave first? Like, who's gonna admit their feelings to the other person first? And that is the whole show. So it's like, it's like it's like a stereotype from like what we were just saying. Like, that's what the whole show is built on. Is that trope?
That one is on my plan to watch list on my anime list.
It's fantastic. You're gonna love it. You're gonna love it. It's fantastic. It's really good, and it's hilarious. It's very funny. Watch the dub version. The dub's really good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I feel like most things I'm watching sub for. The only things I think at this point that I've seen dubbed and never subbed were the My Hero Academia movies.
Okay.
For some reason, the only versions that were available, I think it was on Prime to rent or buy, and they were only the dub version. So I'm like, all right, well, it's better than not watching the movies. So I just watched them.
Yeah, I watched a lot of shows I've watched. Like, I started with a dub, and then I'm current, so now I'm having to watch sub. And I prefer. There's a few shows that the dub's just like excellent, and I love it. But some of the anime, some of the Japanese voice actors are just incredible, and the original audio is just better, in my opinion. I think that's the case for Attack on Titan. Like, I don't know why.
I feel you. Yeah.
I don't know why, but every time I see a clip of like the dub version of a certain scene and I hear especially Aaron's voice, I just don't know. It doesn't sit well with me. I don't know why. It's not like it's bad. It's just, I don't know. It just doesn't sound right. I'm just used to the Japanese voice actor. I just think it sounds so much better, even though I'm reading the subtitles.
I watch most things with subtitles anyway. So like if I watch a TV show, if I'm on Netflix, if I'm watching a movie, like I always prefer subtitles. So maybe that's why I also do Japanese audio with the English subs, just because I'm going to be reading either way, so I might as well listen to the audio as God intended.
I do that same thing with everything I watch now, basically, and that's a habit from watching anime. I'm just used to subtitles now, and also like I don't know if I'm getting older. Maybe my hearing's not as good as it used to be, but I feel like I miss key audio. Key lines in some parts. I just want to see exactly what they say. So there's nothing left to the imagination. But all right, let's just address the elephant in the room here. We have to talk. maybe that's the wrong phrase, but we got to talk about Attack on Titan because like we know it's gonna happen and it's gonna happen in a big way. So that is
it's gonna happen in a big way.
No pun intended. Titanic way.
Oh boy.
So just to cut to the chase, this is my favorite anime of all time. It's really not even that close. I think this is a masterpiece, and I think when it's all said and done, it's gonna be up there with one of the greatest shows to ever be aired on television, and that's including live action shows. I just think it's that brilliant. I'm biased, but I think a lot of people agree with me in just like the general anime sphere. And if you look at like the ratings, like on IMDb and whatnot, like some of the episodes are rated 10, and like they're one of the few. It's like one of the few shows that have like a 10 rated episode, if I'm not mistaken.
I didn't know that. That's nuts.
Yeah. So it's just incredible, and it's just one of those shows, and it just kept surprising me. Like I'm fully caught up. Like I've read the manga, I know how the show ends, and I'm pretty sure it's going to end the same way in the anime, but I'm not 100% certain. But just based off what I've seen so far, it looks like it's heading to that same finish and conclusion. I know the ending is controversial to a lot of people, but I think it was good, and I think it's gonna be adapted. I think an anime, like in an anime adaptation, it's gonna be a lot better.
So I've only really heard from you about this, but a lot of the times when we were watching the anime, you would say things to reference the manga, like that's a really good adaptation of like this panel, and like the facial expression is like dead on. I'm really glad they did it that way. Will you be upset if the anime doesn't end the same way the manga does. Because I think if I were a manga reader and it didn't end the same way, I think I'd be upset. Again, I haven't read it. I have no idea what the hell's going to happen with this big man. So,
I would. It depends on what the other ending is. If it's better, then no. If it's worse, then yeah. So, I won't be upset. I'm kind of. I mean, it would be cool to see like a brand new original ending that no one knows is coming.
Mm-hmm.
And if it were to end in a different way, I know the writer would take the criticism he's gotten with the manga ending and try to right some wrongs per se. Even though, like, again, I don't think there's any egregious changes or whatever, or the way that he ends the show or the manga I didn't think was too egregious. So, if he changes certain things, I won't be upset. If he changes nothing, I will not be upset. But I think a lot of people will be happy if he changes the ending. I just feel like a lot of, especially when it first released, a lot of people were upset with the ending. A lot of people. But I think it's the more it's marinated over the last 2 years or years, so however long it's been, people have kind of I don't know, they've grown a little fonder of it, or maybe have come to realize like maybe it's not as bad as they originally thought, and then the more they think about it, again, we'll see. I think it's gonna adapt really well to the anime, because I do expect it's gonna be a similar ending.
So how much Attack on Titan are we going to get this upcoming November? Or I guess when this episode comes out, from here on out, how much more Attack on Titan are we getting?
Well, the episode is going to be an hour and a half long. So,
and then,
what are you trying to say?
is it one episode?
Oh yeah, sorry, yeah, that's it. This is it. This is the ending. This is it. It's going to cover everything.
So dear listener, if you hear the sound of my voice, this episode is out already, and you probably know what has happened already. We probably know what has happened already, and that is a terrifying thought.
Oh man. Well, we'll have to come back on the mic and record a reaction at some point after it airs. I'm so excited. We're at the point of recording now. We're 3 weeks away, so actually less than 3 weeks away. So yeah, I can't wait. But anyway, we're going to keep talking about Attack on Titan for a little bit, because I want to talk about the story and like how it diverts expectations a little bit in the story after a certain point. So like I want to hear your thoughts on the show, like when you first started watching with me. Like, did it grab you from the beginning? Did it like how long did it take for you, or were you drawn in from the beginning? And how shocked were you when certain things happened, when the story maybe started to unfold in a different way than you may have originally thought?
Okay, so right up front, I'm going to say I cannot guarantee that I won't say any spoilers.
That's fine.
Right now, spoiler alert. Skip to the next chapter on YouTube if that's your thing.
An hour later.
Yeah. It's like, oh my God, 4 days? I think when we first started watching it, I was in that mode of, learn all the characters' names, like try to identify them by sight. Like, if you're reading a book or watching a new TV show, you're like, all right, who the hell is that? So for a while it was that. And then it was a lot of like really buying into the world, right? So like the ODM gear, do I really care what it's anchoring into? No, it's just some cool flips and shit.
Mm-hmm.
And then you're kind of drawn into their world, right? You're part of whatever their city is, and there's these titans.
Yeah.
And you're firmly with them in that. And then the rest of the show happens. And suddenly it all gets kind of flipped on its head. And I really liked that point in the anime where you're like, oh, that's what this is about?
Yeah.
The part where it does get a little murky for me personally is when all of the like geopolitical stuff starts happening, because I am very bad at keeping track of that, especially when there are multiple words that can represent the same group of people. I'm trying to be vague and also specific here.
Yeah, no, that was like season two story, I believe. Yeah, that was season probably.
I'm thinking like,
or was this season?
I'm thinking 4, like
season
end of
4,
3 or 4, maybe. Like when, like there's this country, and then there's this country. These are the people.
Never mind.
And these people like these people, but they don't like these people who are a subset of those people. I'm like, this is way too much for me to keep track of. Like I don't have it straight right now. I guaranteed.
Yeah,
but
the show.
I think that's when I started disliking it. I'm like, I don't really care for this. But then, the rest of the stuff, other than the geopolitical struggles, is fine. Like I'm on board for that.
Yeah. Okay. Well, it's clear that it drew you back in after some of that, and after you got used to that, acquainted with that a little bit. It sunk its teeth back in you. Oh, it did. I know it did. I was there.
Well, there isn't more after that. That's where we still are today.
Well, I mean, but we've been in that. We've been in this situation for a while now. It's been a long time. It's basically 3 seasons worth, even though it's the same season.
And then, what did they do to my favorite character? They ding dang shot her.
Oh man. I was dreading that episode watching with you, because she was by far your favorite character, and she was a lot of people's favorite character, and they did her dirty.
They did.
And what sucks is that I read the manga and I knew that was gonna happen, and then when it happened in the anime, I was like waiting for it. I was like, it's gonna happen, but it was fun watching it with you. It was fun and like awful at the same time.
That's not cool, man. That's not cool, man.
That show, like, it's one of the best shows to watch with someone who hasn't watched it before, because there's so many twists and turns, and like just to watch your reaction to certain things. Like obviously the big one being like Reiner and Bertolt being the Titans, and you're like, here we go. Everything's being flipped on its head.
I remember asking you, because the way they do it is so nonchalant. They're like, oh, also, we're them.
Yeah.
And it was just like during like opening credits or some shit. And I'm like, what did they just say? Like, are the subs right? And then they're like, no, we're them. We did that. And I'm like, oh, fuck.
It's so well done, because they don't try to make it a big moment, but it is by far the biggest moment in the show to that point. And I just love the nonchalant nature of it. Like I remember watching it for the first time with a friend of mine, and I was like reading the subtitles, and I was like, wait, what am I reading right now? We had to rewind it a couple of times to be like, what is happening right now? Is this actually happening? Are they telling the truth? And boy, were they telling the truth.
Oh yeah, it turns out they were super telling the truth.
Yeah, and then that scene's just incredible, and the music kicks in. What was it called? God. Big Girl or whatever it's called. That soundtrack, or that specific track. I have it on my Spotify. I listen to it all the time. It's so epic. The music in that show is top notch. But yeah, for me, that show, it just starts so basic. The pilot's great, and it really sucks you in. It's like, it's tragic. It really draws you into the world, and it's like it's pretty standard. Like, okay, we have humanity, the last of humanity, versus these giant creatures, and they're trying to survive. And that's how the show is for the first season and a half, and then it just expands. I'm trying to think of a better word, but it expands, to say the least, and it just becomes so much larger than what you could have ever imagined. And the writing's just brilliant. Like everything that happens in the show is important. Like there's so many little things that happen that come back later, and if you if you paid attention to the show, like this isn't a show you can watch like in the background. You have to be invested in this show and listen to the line, listen, like read the dialogue, like remember certain things that happen, and it always comes back in the end. And the latest season 4, parts 1, 2, and the soon to be 3. Or is it 4 parts?
Dude, I don't know.
I've lost track. But
there's so many different parts to seasons. I'm lost.
It's just top. It's just top notch, man. Yeah. I feel like it's a show everybody should watch. Honestly, I mean, I don't know if I'd recommend it as a first anime. But
which is basically what you did to me.
I know, yeah. But
I'm here watching fucking
I was
pew pew Kamehameha. 15 years of silence, and then this.
Yeah, I was being selfish. I just wanted you to experience it. But it's got so many good characters. Again, like I said, the music, and it's interesting because the show changes animation studios in the middle of it. Like seasons 1 through 3 are WIT. And, people got used to that style, and I think the anime is gorgeous. Like, the animation's gorgeous. Like, characters look good. But Mappa takes over season 4, and I got to be honest. I think this is the best it's ever looked.
It took a while for me to get used to, but I think their animation suits the tone so well.
Yeah, it does for sure. It definitely took them a little bit to kind of get their feet, like, kind of hit their stride with the animation, like the blending of the CGI and everything, because it definitely looks a little strange, especially early on in season 4. Mm-hmm. But by the point where, like, by the middle of season 4, like, it looks amazing. Like, the facial expressions, like, I love the lines and, like, the shadows, like, the dread on people's faces. There's a lot of shots of people's faces showing just complete and utter dread in that show, because it's one of the most depressing shows you'll ever watch. It's bleak, but it's good.
That's an understatement.
It's just so good. All right, well, obviously we could talk hours on Attack on Titan, but let's move on to maybe I don't know, we want to talk characters, or
I say we go into what are we watching now?
Okay. Yeah, I like that.
So I guess on my end, I've just recently finished Cowboy Bebop. I think I might have brought that up in our last Off the Clock. I also recently finished Toradora. Yeah. Give you.
I was gonna say, give us your quick thoughts on Cowboy Bebop. It's a classic. It's considered by many to be the best anime ever created. So
yeah, this is one of the animes that I remember my childhood best friend, him and his older brother, the one that I traded my holographic Rapidash away to. God damn it. They always watched Cowboy Bebop, and I was always kind of jealous of it, but I never knew how to watch it. And obviously 15 years, I didn't think about it. And then, a couple weeks ago, I'm like, wait, I can just watch this. So I did. I know it comes up on a lot of, like, these are the must-watch animes. So
yeah.
If the internet says it's got to be right. I really liked Cowboy Bebop. There's something about I don't want to say the finality of it all, but the fact that it was one season and that was it, I think added to its value, because it was what it was, full stop.
Exactly. It didn't overstay its welcome at all.
Mm-hmm.
It's iconic. I watched it during the pandemic. I finished it in like a week, I think, and it's great. The storytelling, like I'm used to, obviously, like animes having like a linear story, like a thread that goes through the whole, like from episode to episode, and there are some storylines in that show that do carry over into the later episodes, but for the most part it's just kind of episodic. Like each episode's its own adventure, which is fun, especially in that world where, like, that futuristic sci-fi like gritty and bounty hunter thing they got going on. Like I just feel like it lends itself very well to that style.
Yeah. And yeah.
Fantastic.
I don't want to talk more about it.
Yeah,
but,
I understand.
Yeah, I think Spike Spiegel has rocketed his way into my, top favorite characters list.
Spike is the coolest. He's just the coolest.
Man, the ending. Oh,
yeah.
Anyway, so Cowboy Bebop, I finished. Toradora, I finished on recommendation from another one of my friends after I expressed my sadness of no more HoriMiya. I actually found the 6-episode OVA for HoriMiya and watched all those as well. And I started one called Overtake. That was one that was posted in the Formula One subreddit before all the Reddit stuff went down. But it's essentially a anime about formula racing.
Oh, that's perfect for you.
It's I don't imagine this being long running.
Okay.
But I will at least watch this first season. Because why not? Right. So actually an episode came out, I think this morning as we're recording, that I haven't watched yet. So at some point in the next week, I will watch that. But that and Spy Family, that's another one that's live that I'm watching. As well as Jujutsu Kaisen season 2.
Yeah. Yeah, we're both watching that. I haven't watched the last couple episodes. I think I'm 2 episodes behind now, or maybe 3. I think 2, and I haven't watched the Spy Family new season yet. I'm kind of waiting for there to be a little bit of a little backlog episode so I can just kind of binge through a few. That's my excuse for not watching them yet, because I want to.
Those are the 3 on my currently watching list. What about
you? So I am currently watching Zom 100, which based off of just internet hype, and the animation looked beautiful, so I gave it a try, and I'm enjoying it. It's good. It's just basically about a zombie outbreak that happens, and it follows like this I guess this like early 20s fresh out of college kid who and the pilot's really good. I enjoy the pilot a lot because it's basically just he gets this job and he's like super excited for it, and then it becomes like this soul crushing and soul draining job that he hates. And then the zombie outbreak happens, and the first thing he thinks of is, I don't have to go to work anymore. He's so happy, even though like people are literally dying in the streets. So it's just a fun kind of zombie anime, which I've never watched a zombie anime before, and it's fitting for the time of year it is right now. And the animation's great, so I'm enjoying it. But I did hear you say that they're taking a little hiatus, right? There's a little break.
Yeah. The last couple episodes are gonna take some time because of people.
I'll have to do some research on that. That sucks. So anyway, I'll finish that whenever it comes back, but I'm thoroughly enjoying it so far. And then another one I literally just finished today was the new Castlevania Nocturne sequel series, which it's a sequel technically, but it's not a sequel per se of the original Castlevania anime. It just takes place 300 years after that anime with a couple of callbacks here and there. But another show that's just appropriate for the season. Got vampires and demons and whatnot. It's just it was really good. It was only 8 episodes, so it's low commitment, easy to watch. They're only like 20 to 25-minute episodes, so finished in a breeze. And like the original Castlevania, which I want you to watch, I think you would really like it. It's oh my god, it's so good. It caught me by surprise. I had no expectations for that when I first watched it. It's based off the video game series, which I've never played any of the games. There's like a bunch of Castlevania games apparently, but I've never played any of them. The show was just phenomenal. The characters are great. The animation is stunning. It's unlike anything I've really ever seen before. yeah, it's so vibrant with the colors, and there's cool magic going on and whatnot. And some of the set pieces, especially towards the end of the original Castlevania anime, are just mind blowing. Like I'm talking like peak Demon Slayer, maybe even better than that levels of animation. Like fantastic. But the new show, again, only 8 episodes, pretty simple story, good characters. The last couple episodes were awesome. And it had a classic kind of the classic anime scene where the character's got his back to the wall and like everything, all hope seems lost. And then all of a sudden he gets this power from nowhere, which is like an anime trope that gets kind of annoying sometimes. But when it's done right and it feels deserved, it just hits so good. So yeah, if you're looking for a good anime to watch, and you want something that's kind of Halloween themed, then Castlevania Original and Castlevania Nocturne are, yeah, they're worth it. And then one more that I just finished recently. Sorry, I'm going deep here. Vinland Saga, and oh boy, this show's special. It's special. Vinland Saga season 1 was good. It was kind of more of your traditional anime, muscles, lots of fights, lots of action, lots of killing, lots of some political stuff going on. Season 2 is a completely different vibe, and I loved it. I thought it was fantastic. It's more character driven. There's action, there's some good fights, but they're few and far in between. It's more just focused on the storytelling and the main character and his journey and growth from season 1 to season 2, and it's just done so beautifully well, and it made me cry at the end. It was just that good. So another one that you have to add to your list, and it's an easy watch too. It's only 2 seasons right now, and I feel like it's over. Like I don't know if it is over or not, but I feel like the show is over because that's how well it finished. So yeah, that's what I've currently watching and just finished very recently. All right, so you just listened to Derick and I geek out about anime for about an hour. So I hope you learned something, and hopefully, if you have not watched anime before, maybe you'll go in and start watching some of the ones we talked about. Yeah, anime is cool now. Watching anime is cool. It used to be frowned upon, but now it's in popular culture. You're cool if you watch anime, and we're really cool, apparently. So we're gonna segue now into Off the Clock, our usual segment to close out the episode, and we're just gonna talk about what we're looking forward to doing this week after we clock out of the work. So I'll start. I am happy to announce that Halo Infinite Season 5 is looking fucking great, and I'm so excited to play it. It's the first time in a long time that there seems to be like a general excitement around Halo again, which is just so good to see, and it fills my heart with joy. So yeah, I'll be diving into that head first come Tuesday when it releases, and playing a ton of that. And then also the Phils are playing in the NLCS, which is awesome. So we'll see how that turns out. So I'll be watching a ton of sports and playing a bunch of Halo this week. So what about you, Derick? What are you up to this week?
Yeah, on the CS2 front, I am halfway to getting an ELO, so I got 5 more wins to put in under my belt. I should be able to get that done this week.
Yeah.
I am enjoying that with loose air quotes.
Nice.
So we'll see how that goes before the next time we do an Off the Clock. And the other thing, as we're recording, the U.S. Grand Prix is coming up. So Daniel Ricciardo will be back at AlphaTauri, our favorite American, non-American. So I'm looking forward to that. If you're looking forward to more 5 o'clock sweats, you can race on over to our Instagram at 5 o'clock sweats, our Twitter or X at 5 o'clock sweats. You can leave a comment on YouTube. You can like, comment, subscribe. You can find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, rate us, because that's what people do when they like things. And yeah, am I forgetting anything there?
No. Go Phils. And Chris, we didn't miss you at all. No, I'm kidding. We missed
That's
Chris, and we'll hopefully have him back very soon. We wish him a speedy recovery. But yeah, this was fun. I'm glad we got to do this this doubles match episode. I think it went really well.
Yeah. And as always,
stay sweaty.
And as always,